It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
And welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast, talking property news, even on a Friday as we get set for another weekend around Australia. Yes, talking real estate 7 days a week is heard on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as Amazon. Yes, a Friday, July the 19th. I hope your week has been a good one. And we've really been all over Australia this week. Started off, of course, on Monday with Noosa. We were talking about Melbourne, Brisbane. Always looking at the price of properties because, let's face it, that's such a big driver of what you want the information to be. Where are the fluctuations in the market on price point is a constant theme that we are tracking for you. And we talked just yesterday of Sydney people moving to Melbourne for the cheaper real estate price point. But an area I think we have only talked about once before is an area that we should dive into this morning, especially where we are at in the property cycle, and that is Newcastle. Yes, Newcastle, a coastal city 2 hours north of Sydney. Got a median house price in Newcastle these days sitting at around $865,000. And Newcastle has been described as pretty underrated. Very underrated. In fact, if you compare it to Byron Bay with their median price of $2 million, it's clear that there's an attraction factor going on in Newcastle right now. So let's catch up with Lyndall Allan. She's the principal from Salt Property in Newcastle. And good morning to you, Lyndall. Welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning. Great to have you on this Friday morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
So that's about the size of it, isn't it? The attraction factor of Newcastle.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's such a gorgeous city and it has so much to offer. So we are seeing a lot more people relocate to Newcastle to be closer to the beaches and everything else the city has.
And I want to ask you, because you're not the only principal around the country, this seems to be a bit of a growing trend, and that is an all-women-driven real estate company. You have got a team of ladies that are working with you there.
I do. I have an amazing bunch of women. There's 13 of us here at Salt Property, and we have a little niche market here in Newcastle being a female-only business. I've been in the industry for 25 years and mainly worked with men, so I wanted to try something a little bit different, and I have to say it's working incredibly well for us. I love my little girly gang.
We've kind of discussed this before, especially in the auction space, because there's more and more women, of course, becoming involved as auctioneers. Of course, we have, Lyndall, a lot of men listening this morning, so I have to ask you the question. What is it that separates the boys from the girls when it comes to real estate agents?
Well, look, everybody's different, but I do believe that the attention to detail that women bring to a sale does make it stand out, especially in a market such as this where it is tough and you really have to put a lot of time into marketing a home and presenting it properly. I think our communication is next level, and I think we drop the ego a little bit too.
That was my next question in terms of some of the social media postings, because it's more like, look at me, look at me, look at me, without the details of the real estate. So you've got that covered, have you?
Yeah, I definitely think we let our sales sort of speak for themselves, and our job is to showcase the properties. It's not about us, it's about the homes, and it's about connecting them to buyers. So I think we do that well. There's a beautiful personal touch that comes with working with Salt and the attention to detail that also, lens into these amazing campaigns where it makes us stand out. And we tell the story. The social media is about the properties we're selling. Obviously, there's a personal touch that we put into it, but we say, for example, in our social media, bloopers are something we do all the time where we're showing us mucking up, and we don't take ourselves too seriously. Obviously, there is a big professional factor, especially with the high-end homes that we sell, but people connect with us more, we find, when we show them who we really are, and the rawness of that works well for us.
Yeah, I've said this before, and that is it's all about being authentic. The more authentic you are, the more engagement you will have with people on social media. It's kind of the same with podcasting, If we're trying to do something which isn't authentic, people are going to switch off in a really quick hurry. Now, I want to get to the real estate because I mentioned Newcastle's median house price point, 865. The apartments too, I think it's around that 690K, maybe slightly less than that. So the apartment market, what's been happening in that space?
The apartment market has still stayed quite strong. We have seen a lot of new developments, especially in the last 10 years in Newcastle. Yeah, the apartments really vary. You might have a one-bedroom studio for $600,000 or a penthouse sold for over $10 million in Newcastle last year. So it's completely broad, but majority of it is very affordable. The rentals in Newcastle are also incredibly strong. So we do see investors jumping into that market a fair bit, but you have a lot of water views from majority of the apartments, whether it's an ocean view or a harbour view. So they are very appealing and I believe very affordable as well.
All right, so we're talking to Lyndall Allan, the principal from Salt Property in the desirable location this morning of Newcastle. We'll find out a little bit more about this destination next.
We help to break down real estate every day to help you better understand the Australian property market.
Well, let's pick out a couple of capital cities just to have a look at the median house value price and also the median unit. First with the house, 811,000 and change in Adelaide. That is the median house value. And the median unit value is hovering around that 521,000. So, boy, a big difference. In Perth, expect to pay around 769,000 and change. That's the median house value. And the median unit value in Perth at the moment is around $521,000.
You can join the conversation every week on the Real Estate Podcast.
And it is a Real Estate Friday. We're talking to Lyndall there in Newcastle. Lyndall, what are some of the biggest driving points that have people moving into your area? Why don't you list those off for us this morning?
Oh, there's so many. First of all, we have the incredible coastline. Our beaches are spectacular. They really, really are great for surfing too. We have the university, which is only 15 minutes from the beach. We have John Hunter Hospital and the private hospital, which is a really renowned hospital in New South Wales and Australia. But we also have Williamtown Airport, which is 25 minutes from the heart of Newcastle. So it really delivers this broad lifestyle without the hustle and bustle of Sydney. Everything's 5 minutes in Newey. It's amazing.
Yeah, and if you are in Sydney and you're thinking, gee, I haven't been to Newcastle for a while, why don't you book yourself an Airbnb, because there are plenty of those in Newcastle. Soak it up over the weekend and you might find yourself buying in Newcastle. Do you have people doing that from Sydney?
We really do. We have a lot, especially through COVID, we had a incredible influx with the lifestyle, with people working from home that Newcastle has to offer. But we often do sell to investors and they do come up and they see that you get more of a bang for your buck in Newcastle. So they do invest. And also our rentals are really strong here.
And tell us a little bit about the competition in terms of Sydney. There's so much competition, isn't there? But you go 2 hours drive into Newcastle, and I think you can just sort of take your foot off the accelerator a little bit. Take your time, to choose. There's a little bit more breathing space, isn't there?
Definitely, Craig. I agree with that. I think, in Sydney, I haven't worked in the Sydney market for many, many years, but your average turnout at, say, a one-bedroom apartment could be 20 or 30 groups. Well, we would average somewhere between, 4 and 8. So there's not this fierce competition where you really have to make a decision. You can take a little bit more time. Sometimes they sell straight away, but other times they don't. So because our population isn't as broad as Sydney, then it gives you a little bit more breathing room when you are house hunting.
And we should talk about the luxury market. This is your favourite subject, of course, Lyndall. Let's talk about the luxury comparable market to Sydney, because I think a lot of people would find that somewhat surprising that you are almost into that luxury Sydney market price point.
Yeah, I do hear it all the time when people will come up for homes, like beautiful luxury homes, from Sydney, expecting they're going to be a lot cheaper. But the luxury part of the market is not cheap. We broke the record last year with a sale for over $11 million and, just listed another one for over $10 million. I just spoke about an apartment that sold for over $10 million. So we still do pull some very strong prices, especially with those coastal homes. There are some amazing, amazing homes in your Merriweathers and your Bar Beach in Newcastle.
And just give us a bit of a sense for first home buyers, because of course your lovely ladies working there at Sold Property, they're dealing with a range from first home buyers into the luxury market. How active is that at the moment for first home buyers?
Yeah, that's a great question. That part of the market is still very, very competitive. So I would say anything under $1 million in Newcastle at the moment, we're auctioning most of those properties because we do generally have plenty of bidders and plenty of interest, more so in the homes than the apartment side of it. But we are still finding there are a lot of first home buyers trying to get into the market. So that part is, very active still.
And it is a Friday morning, so who do you want to give a bit of a shout out to where you are living and enjoying life?
I like to shout out to my gorgeous team, my amazing salty girls. If you're out and about, please come and say hello to us. But just to everyone of Newcastle, we do have some beautiful listings at the moment. So please come along and say hello to us. We do have lots of opens happening tomorrow. And I would love to say hello.
All right then, Lyndall, lovely to connect with you, find out a little bit more about Newcastle turning the spotlight on. Thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. I've enjoyed our chat.
Every morning from 6 a.m. across Australia, we deliver you the latest property news, commentary and predictions from Perth to Cairns and from Melbourne to Brisbane, 7 days a week, only on the Real Estate Podcast.
What we're seeing out here in the Western Corridor is that we are predominantly a private sale marketplace. First home buyers looking to enter at an affordable range, but we are still seeing a huge amount of competition and some fantastic results.
Yes, if you have a look at that price between the two markets, as I mentioned, $595,000, it is an awful lot of money. They say it could drive landlords out of the state, Victoria's new land tax. So what are you sort of seeing on the ground?
Look, we are seeing some of our landlords, partly due to the land tax and also due to just general, I suppose, living expenses, potentially look to pull out of the market. But at the same token, we're also seeing those interstate investors. So it's not just Sydney-siders coming in to relocate. They're also looking at our real estate for an investment to become a landlord.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.